Finding out what's happening in France next is where we go. And for that, we're joined by Nicholas. The newspapers, what are they saying?
Good morning, Prue.
Good morning.
It's about joblessness. Unemployment has hit the headlines in a big way, and here we can go to Le Parisien. There you can see chômage, les propositions des candidats. There you can see the national edition of Le Parisien, aujourd'hui en France, today in France. Now, that paper is saying, hey, 30,000 more jobless in November. We're heading for a 10% rate here. That's catastrophic for one person in particular, Nicolas Sarkozy, the president. Now, it talks to a political analyst, Stéphane Rosès, a respected analyst there, and it's two-page spread inside the paper. And it's saying that what's at stake now is actually France's whole social model. And he's saying that, hey, the French really, they just want protectionism, classic protectionism. In terms of the candidates, the paper's looking at Sarkozy's proposal to have a summit on jobs on the 18th of January with his ministers. The paper says that he will scrap the 35-hour week. That will be his proposal, his lighthouse proposal to scrap the 35-hour week. He wants companies and employees to decide working time sector by sector. With the François Hollande, the socialist candidate, the paper is saying is proposing a pact with business to get the dole queue down and production up. The far-right candidate, Marine Le Pen, is saying we've got to reindustrialise. And lots of the discussion in those 2 pages there in Le Parisien are basically about let's get back to made in France. And the satirical weekly, Le Canard Enchaîné, I saw was having lots of puns this morning saying, hey, joblessness, there's one man that's got the perfect profile for that, and that seems to be Mr. Nicolas Sarkozy.
Wrapped up in all of this is what happens to the industrial base of France, viable or not.
Well, Les Echos, the paper, the business paper here, is looking closely at that in this piece here, and it's saying that 900 factories have closed in France. So we're seeing a real withering away of the industrial base. And if you balance jobs that have been lost with ones that have been created, you've got 100,000 fewer jobs in France in industry. And the paper says this all goes back to the 70s. It's not new. It's the oil price shock in the early 70s that set the rot in. And it's saying, well, what's the problem? It's the cost of hiring and it's the lack of innovation. France doesn't have the products that can compete in the export market. That's that paper's version of events.
Always fascinated by the fact that politics is so driven in its reporting by which newspaper you read. It applies equally today in terms of Sarkozy and politics, doesn't it?
Well, Le Figaro is going full on with the party politics. It's got not deindustrialization or the jobless figures. It's got a picture of François Hollande saying he's groping in the dark. And its editorial there is slamming him. He's saying that the Socialist Party, which François Hollande now represents in the presidential race, is got 2 disappearances. The disappearances being Dominique Strauss-Kahn, who was the favourite to win against Sarkozy, who's obviously been sidelined because of the scandals in New York over events there. But secondly, the disappearance for François Hollande and the Socialist Party is about the socialist project, socialist policies. And that's all the paper's saying, well, it's all been hammered away because of this current economic crisis. All the goals of reducing unemployment by 300,000, that's all had to be binned because they're going to have to produce austerity measures as well to get through 2012.
Have you found anything good at all this morning?
I have. Well, look at this in Libération, the left-wing daily is hammering away at Mr. Sarkozy, their hardcore politicking. He's said that the paper's there saying that there you can see all the names and personalities, the places and jobs that basically the paper is arguing Mr. Sarkozy is parachuting in now to keep a grip on the country. And what the paper argues is a sort of royal court of Versailles of the 21st century. Now, the paper says Sarkozy pledged in 2007 to be beyond reproach in terms of cronyism, but the paper's saying he's stepping up these moves now to keep hold of the election campaign. I do have a bit of good news for you. I'm desperate to get some good news in, and that's on the front page of the Catholic daily La Croix. It's leading on a good news story, and it's for the people who are... It's freezing cold here in Paris today. And
damp and horrible.
It is, but it's very, very cold, chilling to the bone, and the paper saying the homeless in France are getting better support than they used to, and that's due to a campaign of renovation of centres for the homeless that began 4 years ago. It cost 170 million euros, and the Catholic paper is arguing that sum is relatively little compared to the dignity those centres bring to people looking for a fresh start.
So you brought me some good news after all. Nicholas, thank you.